My mentor and good friend Brian Tracy, when he started his business, he looked at his tax return at the end of the year and he had an income tax bill of $14,000. 12 years later, he looked at his income tax return and he had a bill for $1,400,000. And he looked at it and he realised that he had increased his earnings by more than 1,000%. And he thought about it, how did I do that? And by using the principle of Kaizen, which is continuous and never-ending improvement, he looked back and he discovered that he did 7 things. And these 7 things he did over and over and again during that time period, and he increased his earnings by more than 1,000%. And when they were telling me that it was Productivity and Performance Month here at BX, I put my hand up because I too have applied this in my life, and it works. So I'm going to give you 7 ideas today that you can apply to increase your productivity, your performance and your output. Now, it was only in 2008 I was working in Sydney and I was standing on the side of the freeways and I was holding a stop slow sign directing traffic. A little bit later on in that year I was living in Dubai and I was flying around the world and I was earning $25 an hour. In 2017 I woke up in Melbourne one day and I have consulting clients who are happily and willing to pay me $2,500 per consulting hour. So from 2008 to 2017, I was able to increase my earning from $25 an hour to $2,500 per hour, which is an increase of 9,900%. So I know it's possible in my life. I have clients around Sydney who are using these ideas. Single mums looking after 2 children, running their own business, successfully growing the business by 50% per annum. A couple of years ago, they were doing $2 million a month in sales. This year, this month, they're doing $7 million per month in sales. I have companies in Victoria who have applied this. 12 months ago, they had 1% market share in their business. They now have 9.4%. Their sales revenues have gone up 250%. And they are now the #1 CEOs in Melbourne for Ray White Real Estate. So I know that these ideas work. So we're going to go through really fast today. Have your pen and paper there, and any one of these ideas can improve your productivity, performance and output today. So let's have a look at number 1. Now, all we need to do is we need to read for an hour a day. The most successful people, they rise early, and this is called the rudder of the day. They also call it the golden hour. And what you put in your mind at the first moment of the day determines your day. So the most successful people read in their field for an hour every day. If you read for an hour a day, you'll read a book a week. If you read a book a week, you'll read about 52 books in a year, which will put you in the top 1% of people in your field. Because the average person reads less than 1 new book per year. Now, the interesting thing about information, the rate of information is changing on our planet. Every 5 to 7 years, it doubles. The rate of information doubles every 5 to 7 years. So what that means for you is that your knowledge becomes redundant by 50% every 2.5 years. And you can't get any further than you are today based on the knowledge that you have. So the minimum requirement is 1 hour reading a day. Could you do that to secure your future? Would you be happy to read for an hour a day to earn 1,000% more in 10 years? Good. Make it a habit. Begin today. The second thing the most successful people do in the world is they review and they rewrite their goals on a daily basis. What happens is when you write down your goals on a daily basis, you embed them into your subconscious mind. And eventually you become what you think about most of the time. So what happens is you write them down in the morning and you're thinking, how can I achieve this? How can I achieve this? And you look for new ways. You kick off mental laws, like the law of attraction, and all of a sudden you're in front of somebody who can help you achieve that goal. This programs a part of your mind called the reticular activation system. And the reticular activation system scans your horizon for a match for your most dominant thought. And you've had this before. You've seen a car that you want to buy or a handbag that you want, and you think about it and all of a sudden you see that Range Rover driving down the street. You see the woman with the Louis Vuitton and all of a sudden this thing is everywhere. And that's because you've programmed it into your subconscious mind. Now, 84% of the population don't have goals. They don't know what they want, they don't know where they're going. And if you don't know where you're going, then anywhere is good enough. But what happens when you don't know where you're going? You get lost, you get confused, you get upset. Now, 13% of the population, they have dreams and aspirations, but they don't have any plans on how to get them. And all failure is preceded by insufficient planning. Every failure in your life, there's always been insufficient planning. But 3% of the population know exactly what they want. They have goals, objectives, strategies, plans, and activities that they do every day to get that goal. And according to New York Times, these people have 1,004% more chance of achieving those goals than people with no plans. So all you need to do is to start to review and write down your goals on a daily basis. It'll take you 5 minutes. Could you spend 5 minutes to increase your income by 1,000%? 100%. It's easy, isn't it? Number 3, you've got to plan every single day in advance. You have a subconscious mind, which is 30,000 times more powerful than your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is your goal setter, but your unconscious mind is your goal getter, and it operates 24 hours a day. And when you're clear about what you're going to do the next day and you make a plan for what you're going to do, your subconscious mind, whilst you're sleeping, starts to connect all the dots. It starts to figure out what you need to do. And all of a sudden, these new ideas are going to come up throughout your day. And if you start to plan your day, the day in advance, immediately today, you'll increase your productivity by 25%. How cool is that? Just by planning your day. 1 minute in planning saves 10 minutes in execution. If you do planning for 10 minutes, you'll save 100 minutes in execution. By the end of the week, you'll be 500 minutes more productive than anybody else. By the end of the year, that will give you 13 weeks of extra productive time. That is your competitive advantage. Easy to do? Good, then start to do it today. Fourthly, the best use of your time. You've got to get into the habit of asking yourself, is what I'm doing right now leading to a sale? Because 80% of the things that we do during the day are not leading to a sale. And since the 1930s, they've done research on salespeople, and what they've discovered is that salespeople spend less than 90 minutes of their day face-to-face selling. When you're not face-to-face with your customers, you're not selling, you're not getting paid, you're not making any money. So your job is to plan your time and constantly ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now leading to a sale? And if it's not, stop and get into a money-making activity. If you double the amount of time that you spend in front of qualified prospects, what happens to your sales? It doubles immediately, at least. So these things you can apply immediately. Fifthly, you and I drive approximately 500 to 1,000 hours per year. What we can use is we can use our driving time as educational time. And you turn your motor vehicle into a university on wheels. And what I've done for the past 20 years is drive around and listen to audiobooks, to listen to audio programs. And what we know is that 500 to 1,000 hours is equivalent to a university degree. But if you listen to 50 books a year, that's equivalent to a PhD in your field. So your PhD is the dissertation of about 30 to 50 books. And if you read 50 books a year, you can get a practical PhD in your field. That will put you in the top 1% of people. So I learned how to sell, and I acquired 500 clients in a year. I learned what other successful people do by looking at books and listening to audio programs, and I was able to earn $2,500 per hour. And you can do the same. Number 6. At the end of every experience, you can turn yourself into your own business coach. You can turn yourself into your own life coach. At the end of every interaction, ask yourself, what did I do right? And start writing down all the things that you did good, all the things that you did right, all the plus points. And you'll program those things into your subconscious mind. And when you're in that situation again, in a week, a year, or 10 years' time, what will happen is you'll automatically do the right things over again. Secondly, ask yourself, what will I do differently next time? And what will happen is you'll get all these learnings. And see, what happens is without learning, you can't get further than where you are today. One new learning can change your life. So 2 questions at the end of every interaction. Nice and simple. And number 7, start to treat everybody like a $1 million customer. 99% of the adult population have a simultaneous fear of rejection and criticism. And it's because our parents told us 148,000 times before the age 18 the word no, what won't work, what not to do. And we're so worried about people judging us. So what we're going to do is we're going to treat everybody like $1 million customer. If you knew somebody was going to come into your business and spend $1 million, would you smile at them? Would you open the door? Would you talk to them? Would you be charming? Would you ask them questions about themselves, about them? You would. So what you need to do is start to treat everybody like $1 million customer. And what will happen, it'll raise their level of self-esteem and self-worth. And we all crave acceptance. And by doing that, you can increase your income. So I hope these 7 ideas have been useful for you. And let me wrap up by saying this. The happiest times of your life are yet to come. The highest income earning years of your life are in the future. And your future is only limited to your imagination. So I hope that you all have a wonderful future and you make a lot of money. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.